So when we talk about high performance in relation to a thermal vent, what do we mean and how do we achieve it? Well, what we mean is in the context of a normal open fire, so that's the comparator, with or without a canopy, okay? And what we're talking about is how much heat can we extract from every log that's put on the fire compared to a normal open fire, and then what can we do with that heat to more effectively heat the room? And efficiencies in there somewhere. So the way a thermal vent extracts more heat from every log that you put on it is essentially due to the fabric of the fire around it. So there's a back and a sides and a base, and they're all made of metal. And what happens is the fire burns and all the metal gets hot. But the clever bit is that above what you can see here, all in this area here behind the canopy, we've designed a series of baffles and flueways. And what it does is it slows the passage of the gases and the heat from the fire down, and so that those elements of the metal, the fabric of the fire, have the opportunity to get hot, even hotter, without smoking into the room, obviously, and that's the clever bit. So we've established a situation where the fire can burn, but the gases and the heat stay down in this area as long as they can without the fire smoking, to pass that heat to the fabric of the fire. What we've then done is, rather than just having what you might call a hot box, we've created a convecting system as part of the thermal vent fire. So along the bottom here, you might be able to see it on the video, there's a channel, there's actually an opening underneath the fire, and that's a cavity that runs across the entire base of the thermal vent. That cavity also runs all the way up the back, so there's a hidden cavity inside a thermal vent all the way up the back, and then there are 4 exit chambers across the top, and in fact there's a 5th heat exchanger system above that in the gather section. So that allows air to come into the section underneath the fire, separate to where the smoke's going, travel underneath the thermal vent, up the back, and come out of those 4 vents and through the 5th vent as well. Okay, that would be a good thing. And in fact, the first thermal vent, that's how it was designed. When we redesigned thermal vent to get its CE mark a few years ago, what we did is we packed those chambers full of heat exchangers to significantly increase, actually by 140%. We increased the surface area of the metal that is within those chambers. So the metal of the fire gets hot, it passes that heat to those heat exchangers that are in those cavities, and those heat exchangers pass that heat to the air that is flowing across them, in through the bottom, along the bottom, up the back, and out through those chambers. Okay, and that is how we take heat away from the fire, and that air is moving. So it's pulling air in from the room, going through the convection system, and then it's pushing it back out. It's just natural heat rising. There's no fans or anything like that. Natural heat rising, and the air that's leaving these temperatures, certainly with this fire, it's been running now for about an hour and a half, 300 and something degrees, which is really hot. There, it dissipates very quickly as it comes into the room, obviously, because it mixes with all the other air within the room. So it's not dangerous, and it's no different to a stove in terms of that element. And so that effectively is how we achieve a much higher performance standard with a thermal vent than you would with an open fire, normal open fire. One of the other elements is the flue baffle control. So a normal open fire, it's open to the elements and to the chimney all the time. We've got a flue baffle control that means you can shut off the fire and the chimney system when the fire is not in use. Because part of the inefficiency of a normal open fire is that you lose the heat from your other heat sources up that chimney when the fire is not lit, which means you're actually wasting energy that's coming from your radiators or your underfloor heating or whatever. With a thermal vent, you've got a baffle, you can close it off to the left. It virtually shuts off the chimney system, which means you don't lose that heat from those other heat sources into the room. And that basically is why a thermal vent is much more efficient and effective at heating a room than a normal open fire. And we're talking over 50% gross efficiency and up to 14 kilowatts of heat if you want it. Now, open fires are different to stoves. Stoves have a narrower range of performance, 5 to 7 kilowatts, 8 to 10. Open fires, because they work differently, this fire you can slumber it and it will give you 2, 3, 4 kilowatts. or you can put some good wood on it and build it up into a big fire, and you'll get your full 14 kilowatts of heat. So you get a much bigger range of open fire. But all that performance is wrapped around with handmade dog irons, grate fronts and canopies, so you have a very traditional look. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk in some more detail about the twin skin canopy, which is the unique canopy design that I created about 4 or 5 years ago to help us address situations where we've got a customer who's got a relatively large fireplace opening, but for one reason or another they've got quite a small chimney system. Now Thermavent will address that situation, but for some customers they don't feel that the Thermavent is the right solution, which often meant it was quite hard for us to find a way forward for those customers. So in looking at it, I came up with the design of the twin skin canopy. So I'll just talk you through that in a little bit more detail, what it is and why you might think about having one. So some of the aspects of fireplace and canopy and chimney design are a little bit counterintuitive, and without going into the detail, you would imagine that you would make a canopy bigger to make it sit and work in a bigger fireplace, but that's actually wrong. The fireplace size, the canopy size I should say, is dictated by the size of the chimney system, not the fireplace it's sat in. And the trouble is, if you've got a small chimney system, you're going to have a small canopy, and a small canopy that happens to be in a big fireplace, that isn't going to look good. So what we've done is we've separated the performance away from the aesthetic with this, our twin skin canopy. So what we've done is we've got an inner canopy that you connect to your chimney system, and we size that individually for each individual customer so that it's the right size to make sure that the smoke goes where it should, up the chimney. Over the top of that, we're then free to put a beautiful handmade outer canopy that can be of the right material, the right style, the right shape and the size that looks great in that fireplace. It's not restricted by the fact that it can only be a certain size, because if it isn't that size, it won't work. And that is the fundamentals of what we've got with a twin skin canopy. So we can still offer all the different shapes and sizes and materials of a normal canopy. It's just that hidden inside it, you would never know if you're looking at it from your inside the room in your living room. You would never know that there are actually two canopies there, unless you actually looked right underneath and up inside, because they both sit at the same height underneath, so at the same level, so you'd never know. We can still include, which we do in a lot of our fires, this one's got a flue buffer control, so that works on the inner canopy because that's what's carrying the smoke away. So that allows you to close off the chimney when it's not in use, which reduces some of the heat loss from the chimney system. And we can make them in copper, brass, Inglenook style, steel, all sorts. So every different option that we can offer on a normal canopy, we can offer with a twin skin. What a twin skin canopy doesn't give you is increased efficiency, like a Thermavent does. Okay, so this is about making it work and making it still look fantastic in the fireplace opening. If it's efficiency, heat output and a great, really effective way to heat your room and have a really easy open fire experience, then a Thermavent would be the way we'd recommend that you go. But twin skin canopy is a really great option for the people who feel that that's the right way that they want to go. Obviously underneath the canopy you have to still have a fire basket of some sort to hold your fire in, which we can assist you in making if you wish.